Okay, moving right along. Community campaign for Think Aorta, Think Family. This is the Bertozzi's. Did you know, and you should know by now, that aortic disease runs in families? It's much more common than you think. And when you're in doubt, you should check it out. Aortic dissection is the rare event that happens because nobody was checking out their aortas because maybe they just didn't know to. But Karen Bertozzi's story is very different. Uh, and we have launched Think Aorta has launched their community connection portion, which is Think Aorta, Think Family. And kicking off their story is Karen Bertozzi, who tells the story about the connection that went on in her family, about how she had, after her experience, her dissection, how she had that potentially awkward, nerve-wracking conversation with her family, and then how her family were checked. Now, we don't mean it has to only be genetic testing. We mean, in the very least, somebody should have this conversation with their physician and talk to the physician about if they should receive an echocardiogram or if they should receive a CT scan, which is a little bit more because you're involving radiation, but you could also have an MRI. It just takes longer. But when you talk about the patterns and your family history, people should have a baseline diagnosis or check. And then you can really only do that through the echo, CT, or MRI. If you decide to add in genetics, that is your choice. That's a whole other ball of wax that we can talk about at some point, but at least have the conversation and talk to your physician. And if it's determined that you should have a baseline, that's great. And then you should be monitored and follow through, because in this story, you will see and you will hear what happens when a family does all these right things and exactly what the outcome was, which is incredible. I don't want to give too much away, but suffice it to say, they did the right thing. They had the conversation. Her siblings were checked and things were discovered and lives were saved. And that's the whole basis of Think Aorta, Think Family, is to save lives, have an early diagnosis if it's meant to be, and then to proceed with monitoring so that we avoid the dissection. Think Aorta is getting it right. Two simple words making a huge difference, rolling out that Think Aorta, Think Family campaign. And honestly, they are looking for families right now who also have had these conversations, who have also had family members go to the doctors, have a test of whatever nature. And we don't necessarily need to know all the details of what goes on because we understand that's private, but we want to know, we want to help them identify people for this campaign. People who have had the conversation, been to the doctor, tell us what's happened, give us an idea. Did other family members, were they identified at being potentially at risk? Was everybody fine? And is everybody still being monitored? We just need to know that that hard work by the community is happening, because ultimately it will help save lives if we can avoid the dissections. So if you're interested in helping the Think Aorta, Think Family campaign, if you've had these conversations, if you'd like to share your experience, they need to hear from you. They want to hear from you. And there's a link here to a form that you can complete, and somebody from Think Aorta US will be in touch. And you know what? Then you can see your family's picture up in lights right here. You'll get this social media marketing to use on your own channels. You'll have your family's photo in here that you can share to your heart's desire. There's going to be a link to your video, to your story, and we're hoping and expecting you're going to blast this out, because it's not only about it's really, think about this. People have cancer, diabetes, stroke, heart disease, brain aneurysms. All of these things we should be sharing with our physicians and talking about this history to help have our families be monitored, to make sure that they don't have the same issues that any of us have had with any of these medical conditions. So if you'd like to see your name in lights and your family's photo up here, please click that link and someone will be in touch. Think Aorta, Think Family. Spreading the good information, sharing the information. It's their community campaign. We hope that you'll join.